Hey everyone, welcome back to Unbiased Magic Reviews. I hope you're having a good holiday season. Today, I've got a quick book review for you. I'm going to be taking a look at Thought Space by Eric Stevens. Now, this is a book that came out this year. I noticed there's only one review on YouTube of this book, and unfortunately, I felt that that review was heavily biased. And that's because Eric Stevens sent him the book, and all he did was give it a glowing review. He didn't even know how many effects were in the book. If you watch his review, he says there's 13 effects in the book. There's not, there's only 9. So I wanted to set the record straight and do a quick review for you guys because this is a book that will cost you $40. And for that, you're gonna get a book that's about 150 pages long. It's got 9 effects in it. And most of the material in here just seems like a hodgepodge of close-up stuff that was thrown together. Much of this is not even original to Eric Stevens. Unfortunately, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on a few of the effects in here, and then I'm going to also give you guys a much better alternative as always. So the book starts off with an effect called Kill Bill, and basically this is a total lift from Joshua J. He says it's based on Joshua J's effect called Prediction Piece. Well, actually it's a total lift of that effect. The big difference here is that he has applied the same idea to pieces of dollar bills instead of playing cards, which is what Joshua J uses. So my thoughts are this. This effect is not impressive at all. I would just stick with the original one by Joshua J. You can find that on his Unreal DVD set. This effect, I really didn't think it added anything. I think the original is better. I would just stick with the original. Unfortunately, I don't know why he's publishing somebody else's routine as his own. That's too bad. The second effect in the book is called Charming Redux, and this is his idea of kind of like rehandling of the Charming Chinese Challenge. As you guys know, I like the Charming Chinese Challenge. I actually perform a couple of different variations of it. And in here, Eric Stevens is applying the idea of the Charming Chinese Challenge with just one Chinese coin and one ribbon. Unfortunately, a lot of the moves he goes over here are not original to him. I've seen these moves before. In fact, there's one move in here which I don't think would fool anyone, and it does seem like it's original to him, probably because it wouldn't fool anyone. I would not recommend you to even bother trying to learn any of this. It's just going to be a waste of your time is what my thoughts are on that. The next routine is called Salt Straw Spectacular. And that routine is the age-old classic salt shaker through the table that we all know by putting the napkin on top of it. The only small variation that Eric Stevens has added is he's added a straw, putting a straw through the napkin instead of just your hand. So does that warrant that you publish it as your own? I mean, the effect is the age-old salt shaker through the table. I mean, really, it's another lift in my mind totally. I mean, the method's exactly the same as the age-old one that we all know. So that's kind of sad. There is an effect here in the middle of the book that is called The Color of Memory, which was probably one of the only routines in here I thought which was worth even learning. And this is based on something he calls the pigment stack, which is by stacking the deck based on the colors of the card. And so basically what he's doing is giving you kind of an out of this world type effect based on that. And there's a lot of different effects like that that exist in the literature. Like there's a lot of out of this world type effects that are based on the Gilbreth Principle that uses the colors of the cards. So I thought this was the only effect in this book really that I would learn from the book and actually use because it really does seem like a decent effect. So that effect I thought was pretty good. And then afterwards, he goes into a huge dissertation around using the hot rod and how he refined the paddle move and describing his own routine with the hot rod. And he spends about 30 pages of the book going over that. Now, I will tell you guys something. It's extremely hard to really follow in a book because the photos are horrible and you're not going to really get it from here. Instead, if you are interested in learning his hot rod routine, which I think is good, I would recommend instead of spending $40 on this book, you spend $8 and get his At the Table lecture, where he goes over his hot rod routine in detail, and you could see it live. You can't really beat that. I don't think you could really learn his hot rod routine from this book very well, because I have this book and the At the Table lecture, and the At the Table lecture is so much easier to understand because the hot rod routine, it's a paddle in motion. So, I mean, nothing beats actually watching it, like watching a video of it. This book is very hard to follow his instructions in the book. So I would recommend instead you just get the At the Table lecture if you're interested in that. Finally, he goes over something he calls the Ocular Force, which I hate to tell you something, that really wouldn't fool anyone. I don't think it's a good force at all. He says it's based on the ballet cut. You know what? The ballet cut is more convincing than this force, believe it or not, even if you just use the ballet cut to force a card. And then he goes over a routine called Ocular Aces, which has a big setup and procedure. It's kind of boring. Again, I would never use it at all. I don't think any of you would ever use it either. And that's kind of sad because that's the end of the book. Really, that's really what the whole book is about. There's a couple of other little ideas that are sprinkled in the book, but nothing that you're ever going to use in real life. So taken as a whole, I'm going to tell you guys, I think there's one decent routine in the whole book. I would probably rate this as 2 out of 5 myself. And my recommendation to you guys is don't bother buying this. Instead, just get the At the Table lecture. In fact, I'll be surprised if I could even sell this back to somebody. Usually, most magic books I buy, I could sell them back pretty quickly because people are usually interested in buying them, especially if they're relatively just came out. Like this one just came out this year. Normally, I'd be able to sell this back instantly. And I'd be surprised if I could even sell this to someone because unfortunately the material is really not that good in it. I hate to say that out loud. So those are my thoughts. If you guys have any questions about the book or any of the effects that are in it, please just leave me a comment below. Again, don't buy the book. Instead, get the At the Table lecture. You're going to get so much more than this. That's pretty much it for my review today, guys. I hope that you found this useful, and I hope I saved you some money. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next magic review.